Alright, so I guess I'm back with my second video. In this I'm going to talk about basically what I saw and what happened to me before. The science behind it, I guess you would say. So we'll get into that. And the way I'm going to tell it is the way it was told to me. It was very matter-of-factly stated to me. As I said, the first thing I saw, and I'll show you here, was this number. And it's like a 1 with a 3 above it. And I had no idea what that meant at first, but it was almost like it opened a train of thought, I guess you would say. If you could say that you could hide memories behind a symbol, or maybe you could hide them behind, something you see, or like a song that brings back a memory. That's kind of what it was in a way to me. When it happened, it was like I was remembering it more than anything. It was like that, but also like it was being told to me at the same time. And I kind of got this idea that gravity was an important thing in this, and that somehow it was flawed in the way that mankind was thinking about it. Not to say that gravity doesn't exist, or like, what we call gravity today, but just that it wasn't exactly what we thought it was. And I was shown that at that time they didn't explain, or the voice, I guess you could say, whoever was revealing this information to me, basically stated it this way: in order to understand it, you have to understand the universe the way I see it. That's what it said. And the way I see it is it's broken up into kingdoms. And basically, the universe is one big kingdom. And in it, it has its own laws and its own set of times and regulations. And by laws, I mean scientific laws, similar to what we have here on Earth, but not the same. The way it was explained to me was this: that each thing is separated. Each of these kingdoms, so to speak, are separated into, to simplify it, it was put into 3 basic categories: a slave class, a dominant class, and then an over-dominant class. And I guess that there was others you could go to. And to explain that better, it would be like, I am born of this earth, I live on this earth, I follow its laws of gravity and its laws of nature because I have to, because every single thing that is in basically everything is directly or indirectly affected by every other thing that surrounds it in one form or another, kind of like a butterfly effect, so to speak. Anyways, getting off subject there a little bit, but to basically say that I am made up of atoms, so therefore I dominate those atoms. They obey me, so to speak. They're part of me, yet I'm dominated by this earth. It's my dominant, so I'm the earth's slave, so to speak, in a way. Now, this is only talking about the laws of nature and the laws of science, so to speak. So that means if I drop here in Earth, I'm going to be dropping at a certain pace and a certain rate of speed, dictated by this planet's mass or gravity, or however you want to look at it. But there's a number of factors that come into that. Other than that, I think that's common sense, so we can move on to that. So basically, and then the Earth would be dominated by the sun, because it's the next power. And by kingdoms of power, what they showed me was like there was this magnetic energy that surrounded almost everything, even our hearts. And it was this a part of it. I mean, it was like one factor of why gravity works was this magnetic energy, this magnetic field that was being produced by the sun and the earth and other planets. I didn't get really into other planets too much. I was more concentrating on the earth. And what it told me was gravity doesn't explain why the earth does what it does exactly. And I found that there was another force that was involved. And it was actually not sound, but in a way it's a sound that kind of originates from the heart of the universe and kind of echoes throughout all creation, so to speak, throughout the whole entire universe. And it's really this resonance, this vibration of the whole universe that echoes throughout all the atoms, and it's really what kind of binds them together is what I saw, and how the earth is spinning around, resonating with the sun. It's like it's dancing with it. That was the way it looked like to me. There was a sound coming out of the sun I could hear, and 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 from there it was showed to me like the way gravity really works is if you were to take, say if I was to take two atoms and so-called float them right here in space. Now this resonant energy that's coming from the center of the universe is pinging on those. Now if they're just the same, they're not really going to do much, but if one is bigger than the other one, it will have a bigger force that comes out of it, you know, because it enters these atoms and fills them up almost instantaneously, well pretty much instantaneously, and then releases the energy almost instantaneously also. It's like constantly filling these atoms with energy and holding their form, so to speak. And I saw how they were kind of creating waves almost like in a pond, and as the big one created a larger wave, it created like I don't know, like a weakness, and they kind of started coming together. But because of the resonancy, they started to spin in a way, and that was really interesting to me as I kept going through that part. That was how gravity was explained to me, that, you know, while it is mass and energy, it is also this other force, which today we call dark energy or dark matter, which it's not really those things, if I'm led to believe correctly. It is really this resonating energy. And I was very confused about it. And then he said, well, it said, well, look at how things grow. And I noticed a few things about, he said, these are the two facts about matter and energy. The basic commands that they were given from the beginning was to grow and fill space, and to follow the path of least resistance. And basically it's this path of least resistance that really creates a way for the Earth to rotate around the sun at the distance it does. And it was shown to me like the reason why these galaxies, such as the spiral galaxy, take its shape is not because of gravity, but it's actually mimicking its form already. If you just look closely, they said it's taking on the form of the magnetic field, this EM field, that like electromagnetic energy, I guess you would call it, mixed with this resonating energy is what really is causing these galaxies to spin the way that they do, and causing the suns, you know, stars to behave the way that they do, the different clusters of masses. And I saw how light isn't necessarily, let's say that it is just as fast as the space that it can fill. In other words, when it fills up the sun's space, this electromagnetic energy mixed with this resonating energy, it kind of creates like a bubble, let's say like a speed limit, because it takes it a split second to leave space, and you have a constant flow of energy in and a constant flow of energy out, but it's always almost like it's following a different time. Like, you know, the bigger the space, the faster the light can travel. So I guess you could say that it just appears to only go that fast because that's how fast it goes. I noticed one thing that they showed me was there was a theory on this earth that light can be bent by gravity, and I was told that that was a flaw, and told me about seeing light come from other spaces, say outside of this solar system, and how they appear to be wrapping around the sun or warping around the sun, But what I was shown is that it's actually just following the magnetic curves of the sun, so to speak, which in the end is following the path of least resistance. And so it's like stretching the light more than it's actually stretching space. I don't know if you can actually stretch space the way that you think, and stretch time. I don't think time works the way that you all think it does. In the sense that this is a hard one. Time is a really tricky thing to explain. I think I might actually make a whole video of that, because that one is something that really I got an in-depth lesson in time and space, and what I knew at this point in time is different than what I know now, so to speak. Anyway, so yeah, I'll get into time later on. But one thing about light is I was told is that there's no such thing as darkness exactly. That light stretches. It's like a constantly moving. That's the way it was explained, that it's constantly moving at the fastest speed possible, and because of its infinite nature being energy, it's stretched out so far. So as to say that. Just because you can't see the light doesn't mean the light doesn't exist. It's just stretched. And I showed it was kind of like it was stretched beyond our eyesight into things, I don't know what you call it, maybe different frequencies. Like, I saw there was like a band of light, and it was all the colors were right here, but over on here there's darkness for humans. And then I saw with a different vision how it was all bright all the way across, so just but different colors. And that's very confusing because I can't really explain that in words, because it's more of a seeing it. And I saw how light would kind of hit itself and wrap around objects such as the earth. On the other side, when the sun hits it on one side, I watched as it stretched and appeared to be darkness, but there was still light. It was just stretched. Too far for us to see, I guess you would say. And in a sense, I guess that would be spirit realm. But we'll get into that later on. I think that's all for today, or for this video. I'll get into more stuff later on.